Excesso de chuva tem causado inundações na Guiana, o que trouxe muitos prejuízos para o setor agrícola da região. Produtores registram perda de lavouras e rebanhos. O AgroMais conversou com o ministro da Agricultura do país, Zulficar Mustafa. Vamos conferir como está a situação por lá.
Ministro da Agricultura da Guiana, Zulficar Mustafa. Welcome, Minister.
Thank you for inviting me on your program again.
Now, Minister, the government of Guyana has officially declared a disaster in the country in response to the flooding that had affected all regions since May, right? This had led to what is being described in the local media as the worst flooding ever seen. Losses increase as floods persist. The heavy rainfall has affected the agriculture sector, with many reporting losses of crops and livestock, right? How is the current loss results and the latest projection? Can the damages be calculated?
So first of all, let me say once again, I'm happy to be on your program. And over the last 2 months, we have experienced unprecedented rainfall, which have resulted in flooding in all the 10 administrative regions of our country. As a matter of fact, between May the 24th and June the 10th of this year, we have seen close to about 20 inches of rainfall that fell in our country. This is the highest amount of rainfall that fell since 1981. So it's a record-breaking amount of rainfall. This has resulted in Guyana's southern basin between the upper Essequibo and Corentyne rivers being filled and overflow. And that's resulted in a number of areas in the hinterland. For example, Region 9, Region 8, Region 7, all those areas were flooded out. Compounding that also with the heavy rainfall, we have seen the high water level in the river that inundated the entire coastal area. And all the regions, all the 10 regions were affected. As a result of that, almost close to about 90% of crops were destroyed. Agriculture crops were destroyed. Numerous livestock were lost. We are now doing the assessment. As a matter of fact, we have an assessment team too, a disaster team from the Caribbean is helping us to do the assessment around the country. But close to about over 30,000 households were affected in the first count that we have done, but more will be affected as we continue the assessment across the country. People's houses in some areas were washed away. Animals, numerous animals died out. Crops, as I said, were destroyed, and that was the reason His Excellency, the President, Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali, declared this flooding as one of the worst natural disaster this country ever faced. So this flooding has been unprecedented, and the first time we are experiencing disaster in this scale. So we are conducting assessment, and within a week we should be able to say exactly what are the losses, because as I'm speaking to you, water has been receding across the country. We are seeing now the water level is dropping, and it will give us more time, so to speak, to do the assessment.
But Minister, can we say that this could exacerbate the spread, for example, of the coronavirus and lead to other health problems if residents can't find clean food and water? The destruction of crops, homes, livestock could also lead to economic devastation. So the food security is at risk, right?
Right. And this will help to compound the situation that we are experiencing now in the pandemic, as you rightly said, and also other waterborne diseases. Now that the flood have been receding, we'll see a number of diseases start, things like the leptospirosis, diarrhea, vomiting, gastroenteritis. So those things now we have to prepare for. And also at the same time, as a government, we have to ensure that people have food to eat, because as it stands now, we will have to supply food for most of the areas that were affected, especially the hinterland community. We will have to continue to give that support from the government level. And that's the challenge we'll have to look at, to continue to sustain that process until the people can get back on their feet, until the assessment can be done, where we can supply, get help to give these farmers to go back to their land. But at the same time, the immediate task of the government now is to ensure that people have proper medical facility. We take care of the post-flood diseases, and also we have get food for them to eat in the coming period.
Now, what to expect over the coming weeks? How is the government handling this situation? How are you helping farmers? And how can the international community assist?
Well, generally, first of all, as I said, that yesterday when we had an executive committee meeting, ECA executive committee meeting, I mentioned it that Guyana will need a lot of help in rebuilding back its agriculture sector, and that help will have to come from countries in the various grouping. For example, CARICOM, ECA, those areas, the FAO. So I am expecting that country will help, but at the same time, we will also indicate to countries the needs for example, ECA has indicated already that they will help us in seeds and other things. So we will indicate to countries what are some of the help that will be needed in the coming period, so that countries and organizations can contribute. As I said, we are now doing the assessment. Today, I will be having a meeting with a group to look at some of the issues that have been highlighted in certain parts of the country, and then we'll make a general assessment. As I am speaking here, my ministry, the Ministry of Agriculture, we have a team working with other teams across the country, going from village to village to do assessments.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, Minister?
Well, as I said, first of all, I want to express our gratitude to the international community. A number of community have indicated their willingness to come on board to assist Guyana to ensure that we rebuild back, because you know for a fact that our country was on the verge of taking off since we got back into government last year. Our agriculture sector is poised to make a difference in the country, but we have had this setback now with the flooding. This will not deter us. We'll continue to rebuild. We'll continue to rebuild those things that were lost during the flood, and also we'll continue to rebuild on what we have took over last year. The rice industry, that normally brings in a lot of revenue. We will see a number of areas there that will be heavily threatened, and of course we'll have losses there. In the livestock industry, we have already seen hundreds of livestock, hundreds if not thousands of livestock that will be lost. And also in the crop sectors, close to roughly about 40,000 acres have already been reported as damaged, things that are lost. So we are working and we are hoping that we can try get help and also give help to farmers so that they can get back to the land. But also we will be looking at long-term mitigating factors, things, infrastructures that we can put in place to avoid this kind of disaster in the future. So those are some of the long-term help also will be needed. Things like pumps, things like canals, strategic canals and things like that, so that we can drain the water off the land as early as possible. So those are some of the requests that we'll be having, and I'll be willing, after this assessment, through organization and other grouping, we'll be sharing those needs assessment with international partners so that they can come on board and assist us as a country.
Guyana's Minister of Agriculture, Zulfikar Mustafa, thank you very much, and we hope a fast recovery.
Thank you very much.